Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene. I'm recording this on Friday, an hour, maybe a little more by now. But earlier today, the House passed the big, beautiful bill. The Senate passed it earlier, so that's done in the Congress. It now goes to the president to sign it. It should have been signed by the time you're watching this on Monday. I can't imagine that it wasn't. So I'm just going to assume that it was signed. And then, well, there's been a lot of debate, of course. Well, Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader in the House, he spoke for several hours, basically a filibuster. There's a way that there usually each party, when they're debating a bill, will get, because there's so many members that nobody can speak forever like a senator can. So what they do is they'll give each side, say, an hour of time, and then each party leader, whoever is managing on each side, can assign, say, 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever, to various members. But apparently there is something called a magic minute that allows the minority leader and the Speaker of the House to speak for as long as they want. And Hakeem Jeffries took advantage of that, spoke for several hours to delay, no way to stop the bill, but he just went through a long litany of everything, how we would all be hurt by the bill, how bad it was. And there's been so much debate about that. I'm not going to talk about that today. What I am going to talk about is the effect on the Democratic Party. Because, after the nomination of a socialist, and we'll hear more about a communist, Zoran Mamdani in New York City, to be the Democrat candidate for mayor. Well, the last thing that the Democrats needed was, Republicans are going to, I'm sure, they are sometimes called the stupid party. They cannot be that stupid, though. So I'm sure they'll be smart enough to do everything they can to make Mamdani, especially if he becomes mayor, the face of the Democratic Party, which, let's face it, it is. The party is going very, very far left, and now this big, beautiful bill has passed. Last thing they needed on top of Mamdani. If you're a moderate Democrat, if you want to, I'm just wondering if it's time to put the Democratic Party on a death wish. I've said this before, that they're really splitting into two parties. They should make it official and go have a Democratic Socialist Party. That's what some of the far left Democrats call themselves, so that they can still be Democrats. But they're really, when they say Democratic Socialists, you can ignore the Democrat Party. They mean socialists. And then you have the moderates on the other side. So as I've said in the past, it could be like the Whig Party in the years leading up to the Civil War, where the party split in two over slavery, and one party became, I don't even remember the name of it, the Constitutional Party, something like that. They faded into into the dustbin of history. The other part formed the Republican Party, who just are still with us and had a great victory today. That may happen, but this was a whole plan. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go right to a tweet. Who is this cynical Publius? He calls himself. He did a tweet, or whatever they call it on X these days, and I'm just going to read. He has it very, very succinctly. Says how this affects the Democratic Party going forward. People need to understand that the big, beautiful bill is an existential crisis for Democrats. For years, their strategy has been: 1, flood the USA with tens of millions of illegal aliens. 2, count them in the census. 3, get dozens of extra House seats and electoral college votes. 4, make the illegals dependent on wealth redistribution from you and me. 5, have them vote illegally. 6, give them amnesty. 7, have them vote legally. This was their path to perpetual power. But the BBB, big beautiful bill, by funding the wall and ICE and cutting the handouts, this is all coming undone. It's the death rattle of the Democrat Party. One can fervently hope And well, I'm one of those people that are hoping that either that or they come to their senses and become a more centrist party. I mean, they don't have to go right to the center, but the way they're going right now, and well, we'll see what happens. But as this as cynical Publius pointed out, it's just whatever else Trump has done and accomplished, just sealing the border is a big, and now deporting. That's one of the things that the big beautiful bill does. In fact, Tom Homan was just the head of I forgot his exact title. Forgive me, but he's in charge of deporting the unlawful aliens, and he says there's going to be a lot more of these deportations now because there's a money for that, added additional money for that in this big beautiful bill. And as cynical Publius has said, that's going to kill it for the Democratic Party. It's going to really hurt them because what he was talking about in that one of the items he mentioned, I mentioned it before, and this may go to the Supreme Court, is we have a census coming up in 2030, every 10 years, and the question of whether non-Americans, especially illegal, unlawful non-Americans, should be counted in the census. And why that matters is because it doesn't matter for the Senate. Every state gets 2 senators, but it does matter very much in the House. That in the House, the seats are apportioned by population. So the more people you have counted in your state, if you can't, well, let's say a place like New York City or New York State, a lot of aliens, a lot of amazing statistic I read the other day. Did you know that New York City, 41, about 41, 40, 41, a little over 40% of the population of New York City was born outside the United States. I'm not talking about somebody like me, a first generation American or a second generation American, somebody whose parents came from another country. These are people who themselves came from another country. So they're not, unless some of them, manage to become citizens. Hopefully not if they're here unlawfully, and Tom Homan hopefully will get them out, but in the meantime, as it stands right now, they would be counted as part of the population of New York City. And I read somewhere else that had that rule not been, or that practice not been in place in the last census, that the Republicans, red states would have gained 5 more House seats, and the other, the blue states correspondingly, obviously, would have lost 5 House seats. What a difference that would have made in the vote that we just had, where the vote for the big beautiful bill was 218 to, I forget what it was, to it, because I don't remember if somebody abstained and then stayed out. Probably 218 to 217. I'm not going to look it up, but the point is that's how close it was. And I guess that's it for today. That the Democrats, they're not doing too well these days. And again, if they, because you really need, well, you don't need 2 parties. Actually, the way this system was set up, the founding fathers, they didn't like political parties, and they did not design the Constitution to have them, but we ended up with them anyways, and always with 2 major parties for some reason, unlike other countries where they have parliamentary systems and they have lots of parties. So the idea is for everybody not to belong to a party and just vote your conscience. But that's not the way it works today. But obviously, if the Democrats split, then the Republicans, I mean, they're going to have easy victories unless they find a way to work together. Whatever 2 parties, the Democrats, assuming only, they could conceivably split into 3 or 4 or 5, who knows how many parties, but for them to work together. And probably, I would guess the way they would do it is they would have a presidential candidate from one party and vice presidential candidate for the other, and then the parties would switch in the next election where there's an open seat. So that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. Your comments always welcome in the comment section below the video. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.